So any of you who've been watching my recent videos will know that I'm going through a certain amount of training for my drone. I've done my Demaras online stuff to get me in the air under A3. I've done my A2 CFC, and I think I told you in my last video that I passed the exam for the GVC, which is the General Visual Line of Sight Certificate. And that's only one part of the GVC. So GVC, there's three parts to it effectively. One is the exam, which passed with 95%, I think. The next bit is a flight assessment, and then the third part is your operations manual. And today, the 29th of June, I'm here on my way to a little place called Dunchurch, just south of Rugby in the UK, to do my flight assessment at 12 o'clock. It is now just gone 10:30, so I've stopped for charge the car, bit of coffee, just to keep me going. And I thought I'd take this moment just to go through what I've done to prepare for today, and hopefully talk about my success later. Right, so I've put everything I need in a pack up today with nice coloured tags so I can find everything there. So let's just go through this really quick and just talk about what we've got. So first sheet here is effectively the scope of the assessment, which tells me where I need to be at what time, and just some other information about what is expected of me today. So that's really useful, and also gives some interesting pointers before today on where to find the right information. I've got a form here which you need to sign off to say yes, I'm good to go, and here's all my details. I've then got a pre-flight planning form, and this is essentially what I've done ahead of time to look at the location, look at where I'm going to go, and just put straight in my own mind all the things I need to put in place. So, where is it? Are there any sensitivities? So it says here, nature reserve, schools, place of worship, and I've looked on the map, and there are a couple of schools around, so I've marked them down. There's a church just across the road, so I've marked that down. And there's a prison, what's this? It's 2.5 kilometres away, but it's still worthwhile placing it on the form. What sort of airspace is it? So it's class G where I'm going, which is uncontrolled airspace, which is really good. Are there any restrictions like nuclear power stations, military bombing ranges and stuff like that? None of that, but it's always worthwhile checking. What PP I need? So today I think it is just a case of high-vis vest and maybe some wellies, some Wellington boots, which I've got in the boot of the car. There's no need for eye protection or hard hat or anything. I'm not on a construction site, it's at a country hotel. So, but it's just good to understand what you need. Also there, my warning cones, warning signs and stuff, which I'll put out for the flight. Aviation proximities, it talks about other airports. Coventry Airport is just under 14 kilometres away from where we'll be flying. So again, no big deal, but worth noting. Landowner authority, so yeah, the training organisation has booked out the hotel grounds, so that's all covered. Other things, just what terrain is there, there's farms, livestock, what sort of people might be looking for, public footpaths I need to be aware of, vehicle access, and then emergency phone numbers for things like the police and the hospitals, and local air traffic in case we have a flyaway. Let's hope we don't have a flyaway. And also things like other hazards like transmitters, power lines and pylons and stuff, which I've noticed there's tall trees around where we're flying. I haven't noticed any pylons, but then the second page, there's opportunity to put some maps in of where we're at. And then the second page is then basically an update. So that's your pre-visit survey, and then you do an on-site survey when you get there. Basically just the same form again, just confirming all the bits and pieces. Then a risk assessment, so I'm just making note of what I think will be the most likely risks for me to face, and I think the greatest one really is people walking into the area. Really, this footpath is a hotel, so guests, members of the public, groundskeepers, that kind of thing is something to bear in mind. But also, other air users, weather changes, battery fires, and all the rest of it. So I've gone through everything I think could be a risk and given it a score and signed that off. The next thing are my flight reference cards. So, have I got everything I need? So a checklist effectively of my loading. I've got another one there of on-site checks. So wind speed, have I done my site survey? Have I put out the right PPE? Have I briefed my crew? So in this case, the examiner will have one hat as an examiner and another hat as my crew, as my lookout. And then just like a setup checks of the aircraft, make sure the props are good, there's no damage, camera's working, and then when you start up the aircraft, your GPS is working, you've set the correct return to home height, you've set your home location, all that good stuff we've spoken about in previous videos. Then there's your takeoff, in-flight, landing and post-flight checks. Just make sure that you are safe to take off, that the aircraft is behaving as it should. Once you land, you sort of do a make sure it's safe to land within your landing area, and then if you're flying again, you basically roll through that again and you do your pre-flight checks and the like. Then I've got my emergency procedures, which are from my operator's manual, but I'll go through them with the examiner to make sure he's happy with my actions on, if you like. So if airspace incursion, what do you do? Basically get out the way, and then any reporting, so air procs or mandatory occurrence reporting will fall out of that. So that's the bulk of this pack up. I've got my my insurance, which I've got for the day. I've done it on an ad hoc just for a couple of hours, just for today, which is quite reasonable. I think it was £7.50 or something just for those 2 hours. It's a low risk area, so they're quite happy. And then in the back is the draft of my operations manual, which is quite a meaty document at 30 odd pages there. So let me see, I've got about 20 minutes until I need to leave here really. So I'm going to go through this in slow time in my head. I'm going to have my breakfast burrito thing, just make sure I'm fully fueled and ready to go. And hopefully, I'll see you later, and hopefully it will all have been good, and I'll tell you what happened. So I will see you later. So I actually managed to remember to hit record when I took off on my assessment. So I think it might be really interesting if we just go through that now, and I can show you exactly what I did on the assessment. So as you can see here, as the camera focuses, I've just taken off, established the hover, and now just waiting for my instructions from the assessor. Just move forward out into the operating zone a little bit, and we'll spin around and you'll be able to see me and the assessor and the country house. So round we go, and there I am. So I'm just going to pause the video there for a second so you can see exactly how I've got myself set up. So down at the bottom of the screen you can see I've set my cones out in a 5 metre diamond with my slightly too small landing pad in the middle. You notice one of the cones has a black top to it. I put that out there because that's generally north, so if I have a flyaway I can quickly get my bearings as to which direction if I need to report it. Up behind the steps you will see 2 yellow squares in this video. They're my warning signs, my drone operating warning signs, which I've placed in the most likely position where people might walk into the area, just to warn them off. On the floor behind me is my the green box is a first aid kit, and just spying between my very sexy rubber boots you can see a fire extinguisher there, and the white on the floor is my flight reference cards ready to go. And obviously on the steps there behind me is my the hard case my drone lives in. The guy next to me is the assessor Duncan, who I've got to wear his high vis to be part of my crew. And right now after this he's going to start going through the manoeuvres he wants me to do. So let's press play, and as I come in, and he's quite happy I'm talking through what I've done once I've taken off, so just make sure everything's happy. He's now wanting me to do an orbit, effectively flying round the cones. So as we're fairly close to the steps, I've asked him to step back a little bit, just a little bit of safety, just a bit of distance, and now effectively just go around those 4 points of the cones. So very simple really. So one. Of note, one of the rules is that the camera has to be pointing forwards at all times, so you can't use the camera to look down and spot where you are, which could be useful I guess, but no big deal here. Okay, so that's the four points of my cones covered. The next manoeuvre is what's called the top hat. So I'm going to move off to the left slightly in a second. At this point Duncan is telling me what he wants me to do. And I thought this manoeuvre was done sort of crabbing along, but actually it's just forwards. So as you see now we'll fly forwards for a few metres, and then stop in the hover, up for a few metres, stop and hover, forward again a few metres, stop and hover, and down to a similar height to what you started at, and then forward again. nothing too taxing there. Just one control at a time, effectively. Now, the next manoeuvre is a moving climb. So it's supposed to be a 45-degree climb, so flying forwards and climbing at the same time. Yeah, look, it's nice and smooth. However, I think my angle was probably closer to 30 degrees rather than 45. But the assessor was happy that I was coordinating the forward and up controls at the same time. So you get to the top of the climb, and we stop there. We do a 180, and then basically go back down the hill. So around we go. Maybe not exactly the same path, but then sort of forwards and down. Smooth as you like. Okay, the next manoeuvre is a slightly more tricky one, basically flying a figure of 8. So again, you're using more controls, more coordination of controls. And I asked the assessor whether he wanted me to do the figure of 8 forward to back or across our field of view, and he didn't care, so I decided to go forward to back because it would be easier for me to coordinate my turns. I put the drone into tripod mode, which really slows everything down and just allows me to make bigger movements on the controls without it going crazy in the air. And I know if you've got the trace on the screen as well right now, you'll be able to see that my figure 8 was all right. It's a bit wobbly, but again, it's more about safety rather than your ability to perform beautiful smooth arcs. It's can you maneuver the aircraft in a controlled manner, in a safe manner. So you're not going very quickly, not at all. Again, this isn't footage you'd want to use in a video because it's a bit jerky here and there, but it's again just manoeuvring the aircraft in a safe manner. He was happy at that point. Okay, the next manoeuvre is to show that you can bring the aircraft back safely. So in a moment I'll turn to the right and climb. Here we go, round we go, and I'll fly forward and up, and you'll see on the trace I'll effectively end up over that pond. But as we climb, we get a nice view of the countryside. I think I'll have a bit of a pause here for a natter, then we go forwards, and you can just see some lorries on the M45 beneath you, which was one of the things I put on my risk assessment. Clearly that's way out of visual range. However, if there was a flyaway, that's something to bear in mind. So yeah, so forward a bit, and I'll stop here, so I'm just over the pond. And what here the assessor asked me to do now is look away and just put in some spin. So you see the aircraft go around a couple of times. Apologies if it makes you dizzy. So round we go. Yeah, round we go. So at this point I'm looking away, and he in a moment tells me to stop. Stop, and then without looking at the screen of my controller, it's then right now assess the way the aircraft is pointing and bring it home. So effectively just put some side slip left and right in and look what the aircraft is doing. So if I put left stick and the aircraft moves right, I know it's pointing generally towards me as it was in this way, and then just then I'll return it. He's happy that I'd maintained control and knew what I was doing, and at this point he had to prove that the return to home works. So here I am, push the button, the aircraft straightens up, rises to 30 meters, which is what I set it to, and now it begins heading its way back to us, and it gives us a nice view of the hotel. At that point he's happy that the return to home is working, and then just okay, that's great, now just bring it to land. So what I do and what is advised to do is have the aircraft point away from you, so effectively left is left, right is right, and you're not working sort of opposite yourself. So just bring it down to a working height and just sort of crab it back in to land on the landing pad, which, as I said earlier, is a little bit too small for this drone, so I might invest in a slightly bigger one, but I was absolutely determined to get it right on the pad. So probably see the top of one of my cones appear any second at all. Here it is, and then down, 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 and onto the pad, and that was the extent of the actual flying element. So yeah. Alrighty, so hello. So I'm now on my way home. Would you believe I passed? Hey, really relaxed setup, really really quick actually. So I was booked in for 12, by 20 past we were done. So really good. So my thanks to Duncan from Copters for the assessment, obviously for passing me. It's obviously nice. But no, so yeah, turned up, quick chat about what was going to go on. Duncan just asked me to set up as I would, so I sent out my cones, I sent out my landing pad, went through my checklists. I assumed him into the team as my observer, briefed him on, from the checklist, everything that I needed from him, and then we just carried on with the test really, and just some very simple manoeuvres. So yeah, it was really quite rapid. It works in very much the same way as a driving test, so there's minors and major fails, well, minor and major mistakes. I frustrated Duncan by having none, so he said, he couldn't mark me down on anything, so I'm quite, hey, smug face. So all good. So now my ops manual is still in with Copters for review, so that should be back with me this week. So that's the exam done, the flight assessment done, and then the third bit, which will be the ops manual. So once that is all done, I can send it off to the CAA, get my operational permission, which can go into my ops manual, and that's GVC done. So I can pretty much fly any quadcopter anywhere I like, pretty much, within risk assessment, and I'm now trusted to take that risk, which is great. Yeah, going to go home now, revel in my success, and I'll see you all soon. Cheers.